Have you been ripped off, conned or just shortchanged? We're here to fight for your rights.
At the end of their tether.
Spotting the latest scams and making sure you make the most of your money.
And at my age, I'm having to effectively sell the house, and the equity will pay off the majority of my debt, and I start from nothing.
Exposing the rogues and confronting the con men. We're here to help you fight back.
Tonight, we confront the Swansea call centre boss whose company took thousands of pounds from customers.
These people have signed terms and conditions, I believe.
They were misled. They were misled by your salespeople.
I don't think that's the case.
The e-cigarettes, which give you more of a kick than you'd expect.
About 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes later, there was a massive bang, like a firework going off.
And Rodri turns detective.
This is the case of the missing birthday present. It's a tale of mystery and intrigue. Where did it go? And who done it?
Tonight, we're in Ebbw Vale, where we're going to be hearing about a few ways to save money on your holidays. But first, companies that are leaving customers thousands of pounds out of pocket and making promises they can't possibly keep. Rachel's been investigating this latest cold-calling menace.
Roll up, roll up, roll up. This is the Too Good To Be True claims company. We will save you money.
Have a look at that. 10% of your mortgage back and your credit card debts written off. How does that sound?
Good. Well, I'd be very suspicious. It's too good to be true.
Too good to be true? Certainly sounds it.
But there's a real call centre in Swansea operated by companies making exactly these claims and charging customers thousands in upfront fees.
The Too Good To Be True claims company.
Nearly a year and a half ago, a company operating as CCS Advice was based there, and it was targeting people in debt, like David Parry from Pontypridd.
I was in a vulnerable spot, without a doubt. You know, my debt was gradually increasing, probably across my credit cards at the time. It was about £20,000, £25,000.
So when CCS Advice rang out of the blue, David was desperate to hear anything which could help ease his financial plight.
Resisted the urge to put the phone down as I normally would and tolerated it for a few moments, and the longer the conversation went on, the more plausible it sounded. They had a number of customers who'd had their debt written off due to breaches in the Consumer Credit Act. They were getting a high success rate of getting credit cards and loans written off.
For David, it sounded like a lifeline, but it wasn't going to be cheap. The company wanted a £3,800 upfront fee, with the promise that he'd have his money back within a few months.
It scared the heck out of me, but I thought if I can get one of my credit cards written off, just one, which was easily attainable from what they were saying, then I'd be in a much better position. I would have had, you know, a bit of disposable income to have a bit of a better life for me and my children.
But the quick payout never materialised, and David is now in worse financial trouble than ever.
I was just about treading water and reducing the balance. I'm now, as I say, worse off. I was going to rent my house out. I'm actually in a position now where I'm having to sell my house. And at my age, I'm having to effectively sell the house, and the equity will pay off the majority of my debt, and I start from nothing.
Can I speak to the householder, please?
The company David was dealing with was called Claim Credit Services Limited, run from the basement of this building in Swansea. It's had various trading names, but the tactics have stayed much the same. When they rang Melanie Forrer offering a refund on her mortgage, they were trading as CCS-Review.
They told me that I would be entitled to compensation of, I think it was about £14,000, and after their fees I'd receive about £10,000.
She paid them £2,400, but when she asked for her money back, she discovered another company had taken over.
They checked the files and said, we've got no record of you. And I said, well, you must have a record of me, you are CCS-Review. And at that point they said, no, we're CCS-Review, we're a different company, we're nothing to do with the other company, we're based in Poole, in Dorset, and the other company are in Swansea. So I said, you know, well, you all seem to have Welsh accents.
That's because the calls were still coming from that basement in Swansea, although it was now run by a different company with headquarters in England. Melanie did manage to get her money back through them. I want to find out if the claims being made by this new company are any more realistic.
Going off the minimal claim value there, you're looking at getting compensation back. It's just over 25,000. It's £25,252.
And I've got a few questions for the man behind the company, which took David's money.
We're from X-Ray. Why have you been misleading your customers?
You got the wrong person, sorry.
We haven't got the wrong person. It's Nicholas Harle, isn't it?
Sorry, no.
And you can see the shocking claims that call centre made to Rachel later in the programme.
Now, if you're booking a summer holiday, you may also be booking a hire car to get about when you're there. Now, it's not something many of us do very often, and guess what? Yes, the car hire companies have plenty of tricks up their sleeve to bump up the price. Well, travel writer Tom Anderson is with me now. Let's talk, first of all, about the fuel tank, because this is one area where we can be caught out, isn't it?
Well, something to watch out for with car hire companies nowadays, especially budget companies, is when they try to loan you the car with a full tank of fuel that you can then return to them empty. Now, that fuel is going to cost more than you're going to be able to buy it for elsewhere in the country that you're renting the car in, and you're never going to use it all up, so you're going to end up returning the car back to them with some fuel left in there, which they will gladly sell on to somebody else for the same price again.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. OK, let's take a look in the back of the car. The child car seat, an essential piece of kit, isn't it, if you've got kids? Any advice on keeping the costs
This is
down?
another one of those little extras. It'll be about 10 or 11 quid a day, can be even more. And do you know what? You can take one of these on the plane for a tenner, and it's going to be your own one, and you're going to know exactly how to fit it into that car.
Now, in the front, we've got a sat-nav. You may well need one of those if you're exploring a foreign country. Any advice on that?
Well, these are, again, another little add-on that it is far cheaper and more economical to try and take care of yourself. Tenner a day, but for 25 quid you could rent one privately for 2 weeks. You can also quite easily recondition your own to work in European countries. But you know what? You're on holiday, why not go with the traditional method of a paper map and, you know, just get lost in the beautiful country that you've travelled to.
The excess waiver, do you really need one of those?
Most car hire companies are going to include a collision damage waiver, but this means that there will still be an excess, a big excess, on average about 700 quid. You can pay for the excess to be waived completely, but this is going to cost you, again, at least a tenner a day with most companies. You can get private damage excess waivers from other companies online for as little as 25 quid a week, maybe even less.
Really great advice, Tom, thank you. Now, when things get lost in the post, it can be really frustrating. But for one family, it turned into a bit of a detective story, as Rodri's been finding out.
This is the case of the missing birthday present. It's a tale of mystery and intrigue. Where did it go? And who done it?
The victim in this mystery, Lucy Myers-Slight, a business development manager from Quakers Yard near Treharris. Last October, she and her husband Keith treated themselves to a little getaway. It was Lucy's birthday, so on their return, they thought they'd come home to a few nice surprises.
When we got back, we actually found just 1 or 2 cards, and there was, you know, the one we expected to see from my mum, nothing was there at all.
Keith's mum, Barbara, lives near Leeds. She'd been to the local post office, popped £50 cash in a card and paid £4.10 to send it via the first-class signed-for service.
Yes, I could have put it through the bank, but it's not the same, is it, for a birthday present? I like the excitement of them opening something and seeing what's inside and what have you.
Barbara told them she'd send something, so they were looking out for it.
She's very good, to be honest. You know, she sent it in advance so that it would be there in time. So when we got back from our weekend away and we looked through the cards and I could see hers wasn't there, it was a little bit confusing as to what had happened.
So Keith went online to track the present.
Now, the website showed that the card had been delivered to the right address and signed for in the name of Maya Slight, but the signature was like nothing they'd ever seen before. So who'd signed for it?
That's not our signature.
Well, when I saw the signature, it was unrecognisable, really. It didn't look like a signature. It just looked like a couple of letters. Obviously, it didn't resemble our surname at all, because we weren't here.
I was really perplexed at that point as to where the card had gone. I thought, whoa, has somebody been stood on our doorstep waiting for the postman and stolen it or something like that?
So the couple decided to do some detective work. Keith went off to investigate at the local delivery office in Pontypridd. And Lucy asked the neighbours if they knew anything about it. Both trails went cold. With still no trace of the card, they filled in an official Royal Mail compensation form to try and claim back the money they had lost.
And that's how the mystery was solved. Royal Mail wrote to Barbara, and the identity of the letter signer was revealed. It was a postman. He'd signed for it himself, and he said he posted it through the door. Unbelievable.
But Royal Mail wouldn't give the family their money back.
Every letter we've received has been, you know, blah, blah, blah. We've looked into it. End of story. We can't do any more.
Well, Royal Mail say it has disciplined the postie concerned, but they haven't been sacked. They say Lucy's mum used the wrong service to send cash. It went first class signed for when it should have gone special delivery guaranteed. If it had, she would have been covered for the loss. But Royal Mail has now agreed to refund the £50, which means Lucy can have that special treat after all.
Now, you might have seen people smoking things like these, e-cigarettes. There's been lots of debate about their health benefits, but not so much has been said about the risk of them exploding. Lucy's been finding out more.
Electronic cigarettes. More than 1 million people are using them, and the market is booming. But they're controversial, and some pubs and restaurants have banned them. As for the long-term impact on health, well, the jury's still out. But that's not what's troubling Kieran Francis and his family in Neath. A month ago, a friend came round and asked to charge her e-cigarette in his kitchen.
About 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes later, there was a massive bang, like a firework going off. First thing, we turned the electric off by the mains, to obviously, just in case there was an electrical fault. And then scarpered into the kitchen and realised then that there was the e-cigarette that did actually blow up. Basically, shot straight across the room, caused a little bit of damage to the windowsill. It's melted parts of the floor.
Have you thought about what could have happened if you weren't here?
If we were out, obviously the house would have gone up in flames. But more importantly, if we were here and all in bed, then obviously it could have cost our lives.
A Florida man is recovering from severe injuries to his mouth and face after an electronic cigarette exploded in his mouth.
Cases of exploding cigarettes have been reported around the world.
I was charging one of my electronic cigarette batteries via the USB cable, and check out what happened. Look, the damn thing exploded.
They're a problem across Britain too. They caused a blaze at this Derbyshire nursing home, which left one woman dead. And X-Ray has learnt of at least 6 other cases dealt with by firefighters in Wales in the past 2 years. And that could just be the tip of the iceberg if more people aren't reporting incidents.
In my left hand, we've got remains of the rechargeable battery, the lithium-ion battery, and the other part then we've got the actual cigarette.
So how are these fires starting then?
The users charge their e-cigarettes too long. Unlike other rechargeable batteries, like in mobile phones, for example, they haven't got a fitted with a default setting which switches off the charger to prevent the battery from overcharging. There's also people using different components to charge different e-cigarettes. So that's a cause in itself because they set the different ratings.
What do you think needs to be done to find out more about what's causing this?
It's obvious that more testing needs to be carried out, and maybe more regulation needs to be brought in.
Trading Standards are investigating the problem, and this lab in Blackwood is among the first to conduct tests. Overseeing this test is Senior Safety Engineer Lee Picton. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
So, what's going on here?
Basically, we are measuring the surface temperatures of these e-cigarettes using these temperature sensors, and we'll be monitoring the temperatures using this graph, and what we'll be looking for is any sharp rises in temperature, and that could indicate that something is going wrong with the batteries.
As the test progresses, one of the e-cigarette chargers appears to be heating up more than the others. What does it show you? I mean, straight away looking at that graph, I can see a spike there.
Basically, this spike here, this was basically the temperature of this particular charger. The battery was initially empty, so it was an initial surge of power.
But the fact that it eased off, you're satisfied that these devices are safe?
Yeah, in this instance, because the temperature started to decrease, it's considered safe. If the voltage did not drop off, as you can see here, then what can happen is the temperatures can increase and increase and increase until the battery potentially could rupture.
With more testing, it's hoped that e-cigarettes can be made safer. But until then, users need to take care.
It's important we get the message out and say, OK, buy them from reputable sources, make sure you don't mix and match, and don't overcharge them, don't leave them unattended when they charge them.
Now, if you do anything on the internet, you'll have ticked one of those boxes. I agree with the terms and conditions. Pages and pages of waffle, usually, and most of the time, we just tick. But ignoring the boring bits on a website can be expensive, as Lucy's been finding out.
We all know the dangers of email scams, fake websites, virus threats. But when we're using the websites of well-known companies, we can let our guard down, and that can be expensive. Back in September, paramedic Malcolm Morrison used the trainline.com to buy tickets for a trip to London for him and his wife, Sue.
A few days later, the website sent us another email asking if we wanted to buy some West End show tickets. And we thought that was a good idea, so we did.
Malcolm entered his credit card details, and that's when another window popped up with some great news. He was entitled to a free gift.
Lift Serum Pro is here to help.
One stuck out, Lift Seal and Flow, because cosmetic, which is supposed to be better than Botox. And I thought, well, my wife might like it.
Bet she was pleased about that. Malcolm pressed on and was asked to pay $1.99 postage.
So I had my credit card in my hand. So I paid the $1.99 postage. And there's obviously this little box you have to tick to accept the terms and conditions of the offer, which you always do on the internet, and so I ticked that.
So Malcolm and Sue went off to enjoy their weekend in London.
When we come back, the package was there. Inside was this Lift, Seal and Flow, and I gave it to my wife, and I thought that was the end of that.
Malcolm had paid the $1.99 postage for the sample, but when he checked his statement the next month, he had a nasty surprise.
There was £85 gone out to the same company. I thought, well, what's this? What on earth is this? I thought there's been a mistake. Apparently, that terms and conditions box I'd ticked, I'd agreed for them to, after 14 days, to take £85 out and to pay for that first supply. And worse than that, I was going to receive another supply every month until I asked them to stop. I was suckered into this one.
So how did Malcolm fall for this? I'm asking consumer law expert Hugh Evans to look at the website. You go onto the Lift Serum Pro website and at first glance you can see why he thought he was signing up for $1.99.
You've just got to read the first line of the small print. You'd think you wouldn't have to read any further. It says, we will send you a 30-day supply of the product for just shipping and handling fee of $1.99. And then you look above and you've got the prominence. Get your risk-free trial today.
And it's only when you read a lot further down in the small print at the bottom of this page that you see this sum of $84.71.
It is not prominence. You are directed towards £1 or €1.99. The issue that you have to pay this extra amount on top of the €1.99 is not mentioned in any prominent form whatsoever. I could be fooled by that.
Is this illegal?
On the face of it, I think we have misleading selling here and that it should be stopped.
Thanks for visiting us today on your quest for youthful and more beautiful skin.
Well, we wrote to Lift Serum Pro's head office in Las Vegas and they haven't responded to any of our letters or emails. Now, the Trainline.com, which is the website Malcolm says he was using when he saw the Lift Serum Pro pop-up, says it has nothing to do with the company and that they don't allow any pop-up adverts on their booking confirmation page.
Now, earlier we met victims of a call centre which made big promises to cut customers' debts, then failed to deliver. Time for Rachel to pose as a customer and hear the sales pitch for herself.
David Parry is a victim of a Swansea company called Claim Credit Services. He was deeply in debt when they called offering to wipe out his credit card balances. But they wanted a fee of nearly £4,000. Now he's worse off than ever.
I was just about treading water and reducing the balance. I'm now, as I say, worse off. I was going to rent my house out, but I'm actually in a position now where I'm having to sell my house. And at my age, I'm having to effectively sell the house, and the equity will pay off the majority of my debt, and I start from nothing.
The company that took David's money had this man, Nicholas Hall, as its director. It was based in the basement of this listed building in Swansea. It has no connection with the other companies based there.
This is a place with a bit of history as a call centre. It used to be home to one of Mr Hall's other businesses, Consortium Reclaim. We featured them on X-Ray a few years ago. Then came CCS Advice, CCS-Review and most recently CCS-Review.
That last one is actually a different company and it's not run by Nicholas Hall, but it works out of the same call centre and offers the same services. Are the claims made by this company any more realistic than the last? I ring them and tell them I'm up to my neck in debt and desperate.
We specialise in financial hardship and in regards to the mis-selling or mortgages as well. This is how we can gain compensation for clients like yourself, OK?
Fantastic. Compensation. Just what I need when I'm in debt. They're going to make some big promises. First up, a massive reduction in my debts.
Going off the minimal claim value there, you're looking at getting compensation back, if you want to write this down for me.
Yeah.
It's just over 25,000. It's £25,252. That's just on the mortgage, that is, yeah.
He then promises nearly £25,000 off my credit card debts.
With the mortgage agreement, that's a lot of money back for you. Yeah. And obviously with the debt getting eliminated, it's like a £50,000 swing for you too, isn't it?
Second, we have to pay a £3,200 fee, but they'll charge it to my credit cards and it'll be wiped out too.
The $3,214 is gone with the credit card debt you have. You know, there's nothing left for you to pay on that then.
Next up, I'll have the money in just a few months.
Right, well, what's the month today? It's January today. Call it, say start February. You're probably looking at April to get the money back.
So, are these claims realistic? I've come to ask an expert.
Processing the claim forward and obtaining compensation within 90 days then.
Is that feasible?
It's wholly unrealistic. A mortgage mis-selling claim could easily, certainly if it turned eventually into litigation, go on for up to 18 months. The notion that you could get compensation back within that sort of time scale is ridiculous.
Well, we have a 100% success rate. With the FSA assessment, we haven't had an unsuccessful outcome.
He is giving the impression that they've done this for 28,500 people. They've never had an unsuccessful case. What do you make of that?
On the face of it, it seems to me a completely wild and unrealistic claim. I mean, no lawyer is 100% successful. It's just unrealistic. You've got a business which is claiming to be professional, which is behaving in a thoroughly unprofessional manner, preying on vulnerable, financially distressed people, offering them a service which they must know they can't realistically deliver on, and in a timescale which is also wholly unrealistic.
David Parry faces losing his house after falling for a similar sales pitch from the company which used to operate that call centre. He gave them nearly £4,000 when he was deeply in debt. Now I want to find out what happened to his money. It's time to pay a visit to director Nicholas Hall.
Nicholas Hall? Nicholas Hall? We're from X-Ray. Why have you been taking thousands of pounds for a service you can't deliver?
I think you've got the wrong person.
No, I haven't. It's Nicholas Hall. Why have you been misleading your customers?
You've got the wrong person, sorry.
We haven't got the wrong person. It's Nicholas Hall, isn't it?
Sorry, no.
But he finally remembers who he is.
You signed for a letter here in the name of Nico. Nicholas Hall.
I signed Nick... OK, right, yeah.
But can he remember what happened to David's money?
Your member of staff told him it was no win, no fee. He hasn't won, but he's paid the fee. Nearly £4,000. He's never seen that money again.
You'd have to speak to the legal representative
I
who's
don't want to
dealing with
speak to the legal representative. I want to speak to you. You're the director of the company.
I'm unable to comment on it, sorry.
Tell me your staff haven't been misleading people.
I'm unable to comment, sorry.
Why are you unable to comment? If you're the man whose name is registered to the company, why aren't you prepared to talk? You're prepared to ring people up in their homes and mislead them and get them to pay over thousands of pounds to your company, but you're not prepared to sit here and answer questions. Do you know what that makes you look like? Spineless. So you've got nothing to say to the people who are thousands of pounds in debt because of you and your company.
These people have signed terms and conditions, I believe.
They were misled. They were misled by your salespeople.
I don't think that's the case. Obviously, I apologise if somebody's lost money, but I don't think that's the case.
You apologise if people have lost money?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to give them their money back?
I don't have their money. It's
So who's got the money? Because somebody's got it.
I don't know, sorry.
So that's Nicholas Hall, a man who's quite prepared to disturb you at home and ask you lots of personal questions, but he really doesn't like it when you try and do it to him.
Well, that was the man in charge of running the call centre when David lost his money. By the time Rachel rang, it was a different company and another man in charge, Simon Helliwell from Dorset. He didn't respond to any of our letters. Since our investigation, his company has a new trading name, the Full Financial Review. Let us know if you get a call from them. We'll see if they've cleaned up their act.
Next week, they promised her a lifetime guarantee after she spent thousands on laser eye surgery. Now they've changed their mind.
It's the worst thing I ever did. Complete waste of money.
Until then, if you have anything you'd like us to investigate, give us a call. 03703 334 334.
Or, of course, you can drop us an email, xray@bbc.co.uk.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Discover the story of Swansea's Pete Ham and his band Badfinger on They Sold a Million tonight at 11:20 here on BBC One Wales.